Summer snowfall in Russia. Flooding in the Taklamakan Desert, 600-gram hailstones in China. Dangerous mudflows in Tajikistan. A storm that left its mark on the history of the FIFA World Cup. How these and other climate events of the past week developed, we will cover next in the episode. Tropical storm, Arthur. On June 18th, Tropical Storm Arthur formed in the Gulf of Mexico, becoming the first named storm of the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season. That same day, it reached the central coast of Texas. Sustained winds in the system reached speeds of up to 75 kilometers per hour. But the main threat was not the wind. Arthur was accompanied by heavy rainfall. In one rural area in southeastern Louisiana, more than 700 millimeters of rain fell within 48 hours, which specialists described as catastrophic by regional standards. In some areas of Louisiana and Mississippi, rainfall intensity reached 76 millimeters per hour. These downpours further intensified the consequences of the heavy rains that had fallen before the storm. On June 15th, between 100 and 230 millimeters of precipitation fell within 24 hours in many areas of central Texas. As a result of flash flooding, Interstate 35 was closed in the area of the city of Waco. After several days of downpours, roads were flooded, trees were brought down, and buildings were damaged. Tens of thousands of homes and businesses were left without electricity. In Perkinston, Mississippi, turbulent streams of water swept away cars and mobile homes. To rescue people, responders broke the windows of motorhomes with canoe paddles and carried out evacuations. The storm also left its mark on the history of the FIFA World Cup. For the first time since the tournament was founded in 1930, a tropical storm directly affected one of the host cities of the World Championship. Arthur influenced weather conditions in Houston during the 2026 World Cup. The consequences of the disaster spread far beyond the Gulf Coast. On the evening of June 18th, a tornado seriously damaged areas north of the city of Effingham in Illinois. Residential houses, roads, and utility infrastructure were affected. The Mid-America Motorworks Complex and the local Automobile Museum described their damage as catastrophic. On Interstate 57, strong winds overturned a tractor trailer, injuring the driver. Tropical storm. Arthur claimed 4 lives, 1 in Mexico and 3 in the United States. China. In mid-June, southern and central China came under the influence of a series of extreme downpours and floods. In Guangdong Province, the most difficult situation was recorded on June 14th and 15th. Within 24 hours, more than 600 millimeters of precipitation fell in a number of towns and townships in Lufeng County, Shanwei Prefecture, while in the town of Bomei, the amount of rainfall reached 700 millimeters. Previous experience in dealing with flooding, which had been successfully applied before, proved ineffective this time. The river in the area overflowed its banks and spilled over the dam. Powerful streams of water carrying silt, sand, and debris rushed into Hebei village. Residents note that the events unfolded rapidly. In just 1 hour, the water level rose by more than 2 meters. Roads and courtyards were submerged, and in some places the depth reached almost 3 meters. People took shelter on the second floors and roofs of houses. Serious damage was inflicted on agriculture. Rice, peanuts, sweet potatoes, corn, and other crops were underwater. According to one farmer, his poultry farm was flooded, and out of more than 10,000 chicks, only 2 survived. As a result of the flood, Hebei village was left without electricity and water supply, effectively turning into an island. Narrow rural streets, hidden underwater obstacles, reinforcing bars, and debris hindered the movement of rubber boats used by rescuers in the flooded areas. Because of this, local fishermen were involved in the evacuation. In small boats and on bamboo rafts, they transported elderly people, children, and the sick, and also delivered water and food to those who were trapped on the upper floors of houses.
商户注意水情，做好转移准备。
From June 18th, Hebei Province came under the influence of the next wave of extreme downpours. In the city of Wuhan, rain continued for several hours during the night, and at Shehu Station, the maximum intensity reached 70 millimeters per hour. Residents noted that the downpour sounded like a waterfall located literally next to their homes. According to China's Ministry of Water Resources, water levels on 20 small and medium-sized rivers in the provinces of Chongqing, Guizhou, Guangxi, and Guangdong exceeded the warning mark. On June 15th, heavy rains began in Guangxi Province. In a number of areas, water-blocked roads, and in Hengzhou County, road washouts and collapses were recorded. The second wave of flooding in the province, which proved even more destructive, occurred on June 20th and 21st. 21 rivers exceeded the warning level at 24 hydrological stations, while in some places the water rose 3.7 meters above the critical mark. At the same time, the first numbered flood of the year was recorded on the Liujiang River. In China's hydrological system, numbers are assigned only to significant floods on major rivers and reservoirs.
我们的值班员呢也会时刻关注我们整个市区的这个水位变化情况，还有。
Along the river in Liuzhou Prefecture, water reached low-lying urban areas, flooding buildings, roads near the riverbank, and other infrastructure. River transportation and the departure of small vessels were suspended. 63 ferry crossings and 95 ferries completely ceased operations. In Hebei Prefecture, the water level in a hospital courtyard rose to 1.5 meters, flooding the basement and the first floor of the surgical building. Staff moved equipment, cut off the power supply, and organized temporary passages for evacuating people. According to local media, intensive care patients and pregnant women were transferred to other medical institutions. In rural areas, torrential rains triggered landslides. In Nandan and Donglan counties, ground collapses caused houses to cave in, killing at least 2 people and injuring 2 others. Starting on June 19th, prolonged and extreme precipitation in Hebei Prefecture affected more than 26,000 residents. In northwestern China, on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in Xinjiang, an anomalous weather situation was also observed. The area of this largest desert in China is about 330,000 square kilometers, while annual precipitation usually does not exceed 100 millimeters, and in some places amounts to only 4 to 5 millimeters. Yet even in such an arid region of China, floods occurred. On June 9th, the first flood of the year was recorded on the Tarim River, associated with the intense melting of mountain snow and glaciers, and on June 20th, Hotan Prefecture experienced a historic downpour. Almost 65 millimeters of precipitation fell within 24 hours, with more than half of this amount falling in 1 hour and exceeding the average annual precipitation for this region. Even sandy soil, which allows water to pass through well, could not absorb such a large volume of precipitation, and the water, mixed with mud, flowed onto the Turpin-Hotan Highway. Traffic was temporarily stopped, vehicles were blocked, and eyewitnesses said that the muddy stream poured down from the mountains like a waterfall. On June 16th, Jiangjiakou Prefecture in Hebei Province was struck by an extremely severe hailstorm, which especially affected the Xuanhua district. The sky darkened within minutes, after which giant hailstones crashed down to the ground. Some of them weighed more than 600 grams. Unfortunately, several people were injured, sustaining head injuries. The ice chunks pierced house roofs and smashed roof tiles, allowing water to enter the interiors. Cars were also damaged. Many received numerous dents, while windshields and rear windows were shattered. A local resident reported that she had purchased a new Mercedes one day before the storm and was outdoors when the disaster struck. As a result, more than 100 hail-related damages were recorded on the vehicle. Agriculture also suffered serious losses. Vegetable crops, melon crops, and fruit crops were destroyed. On June 18th, after another hail warning, dozens of cars covered with blankets and mattresses stood in the streets of Xuanhua as residents tried to protect their vehicles from another strike by the elements. Russia.
Снег идет.
Starting on June 19th, after warm weather typical of summer, an unusual cold snap set in across Russia's Zabaykalsky Krai, accompanied by heavy snowfall.
Сегодня 18.
In the Krasnochikoysky district, snow cover on mountain ranges reached up to 15 centimeters in some places. Local residents shared photos on social media of snow-covered roads, forests, and fields. Old-timers note that the last time they saw such a scene was back in the 1970s. At night, thermometer readings in some places dropped to -3 degrees Celsius, while during the day the temperature was no higher than +5 degrees. Under the weight of wet snow, trees broke and fell, blocking roads. As a result, traffic on some sections was seriously impeded, and in places it came to a complete halt. Brazil. On the evening of June 14th, Goiânia, the capital of the Brazilian state of Goiás, was hit by a historic storm that was extremely atypical for this time of year. In just 2 hours, torrential rain, hail, and powerful winds struck the city. According to the Center for Meteorological and Hydrological Information of the state of Goiás, 64 millimeters of precipitation fell in the Jardim Guanabara area, setting an all-time record for the region. The consequences of the storm were extensive. Streets were flooded by turbulent streams of water, and in one district, the force of nature carried away a courier's motorcycle. Strong winds brought down trees in the university quarter, while the hail damaged vegetation in some places and covered yards with a layer of ice. On June 17th, a powerful microburst struck the city of Piracuruca in the state of Piauí. At that moment, wind speeds exceeded 80 kilometers per hour. As a result of the impact of the disaster, 14 trees and power line poles were knocked down. Strong winds tore off roofs and damaged the walls of at least 8 residential buildings, as well as storefronts. 3 cars were damaged by fallen trees and poles, and in one repair workshop, the ceiling collapsed, destroying the equipment inside. In addition, the wind tore down market stalls and scattered objects across the city streets. According to local residents, during the rampage of the elements, they experienced intense fear and panic. The deafening roar and blows against the walls created the feeling that the houses could collapse at any moment. Despite the large-scale material damage, there were no official reports of injuries or fatalities. Indonesia. On the morning of June 16th, a powerful earthquake of magnitude 6.7 occurred in Indonesia's Central Sulawesi Province. The strongest tremors were felt by residents of the Palolo area in Sughd Regency. There, the earthquake intensity reached 7 on the modified Mercalli scale. More than 8,500 people were affected by the disaster. The earthquake forced the evacuation of patients from one of the hospitals in Parigi Mutong Regency. Those who could move independently were led outside, while the others were taken out on stretchers and in wheelchairs. Similar measures were also taken in Sughd Regency, where patients of Torabello Hospital, including those from the surgical and pediatric departments, were placed outside and in emergency tents in front of the building. The seismic situation in the region remained tense even after the main shock. By June 19th, the number of recorded aftershocks had reached 949. More than 2,300 residential houses were damaged. Administrative buildings, schools, hotels, medical posts, a mosque, a church, and 2 Hindu temples also sustained damage. Cracks formed in roads, and ground movement was recorded on slopes. Thus, in the Noki Lalaki area within Lor Lindu National Park, specialists counted at least 24 landslides. In 4 places, they blocked watercourses, creating a risk of sudden outburst flooding. During heavy rains, such natural dams can burst, triggering flows of water, mud, stones, and debris. At the same time, cleanup work and access for heavy machinery were complicated by the park's hard-to-reach hilly terrain. As a result of the earthquake, 3 people died, 17 people suffered serious injuries, and another 108 sustained minor injuries. Tajikistan. Due to heavy precipitation on June 19th, mudflows descended at once in several cities and districts of Tajikistan's Sughd Region. The most difficult situation was observed in the city of Guangdong, where residential houses, roads, enterprises, and infrastructure facilities were flooded. Mudflows in the Panjakent district affected several rural communities at once. As a result, 29 houses and agricultural lands were damaged, and the operation of irrigation and drinking water supply systems was disrupted. It should be noted that June in this region is one of the driest months of the year, so downpours of such intensity are an extremely anomalous phenomenon. The observed events are becoming increasingly difficult to fit into the familiar climate picture. Giant hail, record-breaking downpours in arid regions, unseasonal snow, and destructive storms are becoming far too frequent. This is why scientists are increasingly studying additional factors that may be capable of intensifying natural disasters.